And that means you and I are live. Let's talk about episode 6 of the Peacock special, Day of the Jackal. Now, first thing, did the Jackal take on his assassination this episode as you had predicted?
Coming out the gate.
To me.
Hot. Okay, so no, he did not. Yeah. Plot summary is he did not take his shot today.
Did not.
But like I said to you,
take his shot.
After episode 5, I did not anticipate him getting held hostage in a barn, because that's not.
Yeah, that's not a good start. So that is where we started. We started the episode where our last episode left off, with our Jackal hanging from a ceiling of a barn.
Mm-hmm. Full on Chainsaw Massacre style.
Yep.
Hanging there from a big old hook that you would use to slaughter hogs or some other farm work.
Where did you say he was? He wasn't in Romania. He was in
outside of Budapest.
His captor does not speak English.
Mm-mm.
And at first he's just like, get out of here. Which I think is hilarious that he took the time
to bonks him.
String him up, to bonks him and to string him up.
Get him on his hook. And
then be like, all right, get out of here. Also, no cold opening. Might be the first in the season, I think, that no cold opening. Credits. But captured in barn.
Then he decides not to let him go. Does he see the weapon, or
I think
does he get
starts
the news
to
reports?
reach for it in the hay,
mm-hmm.
and that kind of sets him off. He finds the gun, and it turns into a thing. He does not see the news report at all. Our guy there is oblivious to almost all of it. He's definitely a country bumpkin, if you will. He's out there on his own. He immediately calls his other country bumpkin friend, who has a farmhand who does speak some English, and gets out of him that he will give them lots of money. And then they leave to go meet up, and in the process there's a big roadblock, and I think on the radio it starts talking about this assassin person. Our country bumpkin number 2 talks to the police a little bit, and they're like, hey, this guy's super dangerous.
Because they've got a roadblock set up to
don't get involved if you see him.
The Jackal.
And he says, oh, I don't know anything about it. And then goes on his merry way and immediately thinks, I'm going to get a whole bunch more money out of this. This is a great idea. And during this time, the Jackal breaks loose. Do you remember why? I don't think they even showed it. I think they just cuts back. And
yeah, I don't remember.
The guy's knocked out. He makes a break for a car. The car does not start.
Yep, not a car guy.
Nope.
Our country bump.
Our country bump not driving his car a whole lot, apparently. So he tries to make a break for it. The other guys show up. A gunfight ensues. Our Jackal wins, obviously. Our farmhand has an opportunity to maybe shoot the Jackal and does not take it. The Jackal then forces the farmhand to drive him out of town.
I think his name is Laszlo.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Not from not in the same cinematic universe as What We Do in the Shadows, though.
No. Speaking of, he was offered some food early on by his captor and rudely turned it down.
There's a lot of fairy lore that you don't want to accept food or drink if you're in the fairyland, because then you're stuck in the fairyland. Do you think maybe he
is superstitious about fairies?
Yeah.
And this guy looks like a fairy?
Didn't want to be stuck in the outskirts of Budapest?
There's something to be said about taking food from a stranger, period. But
that's candy.
try the land. Try the food when you're in a foreign land. That's what I say. Attila, I believe, is the guy who comes, the other country bumpkin,
who gets shot like in the foot, leg.
And I'd like to comment that Attila is the clean windshield gang. Later becomes a dead body gang.
So entropy being it what it is, he will no longer be part of.
He is not going to be able to clean his windshield anytime soon,
right?
As he is killed by the Jackal.
Got it.
Okay. They kind of make it to an airport. He has a phone call with his wife, and says, "I need your help. I'm in trouble."
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes that opportunity to pretend a little bit and go, "I've got a secret room," as if he doesn't know that she knows about the secret room. He asks her to, he asks her to bring him some disguises and meet him at a hotel. She does reluctantly. She gets this phone call while she's in the divorce lawyer's office that her mom has brought her to. Her mom is a ever-growing force for divorce. She's pushing for it, even though it sounds like she's probably not going to get a whole lot out of it.
I don't think a lot of the funds are traceable.
Yeah.
And she doesn't necessarily seem to be all in on getting divorced.
No.
I mean, she's in the office, so she's
thinking about it. Mom has taken her here, and she says, "We got to go." Mid-conversation,
but she's
gathers
far
the stuff
from
and
convinced
flies
that
to
this
Budapest.
Brings the disguise, and he disguises himself as a very convincing old man.
Yep. Dresses up like old man. They go to the airport together-ish, and then kind of separate because he's going somewhere else, and she's going back home.
Mm-hmm.
Also, probably not good for them to be together in the airport. We later find out that he's going back to the place where he's going to hopefully commit said shot. So you're getting close. Maybe Ep7. I believe I guessed Ep8. He calls his phone partner. His partner who found his phone in the old...
the
practice shot?
Rasmus, I want to say. Rasmus.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who's a handsome fella.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Handsome fella. They meet
at a bar.
The reason he calls them, though, is because his apartment gets made.
Yes, that's correct. How did they find out his apartment got made? Did he get a phone call?
I didn't watch that 30 seconds of the ep. I don't know.
I feel like someone called him asking him about something, and so he knew. Oh, no, the police came and interviewed him. 2 police show up at his hotel and asked him why he's traveling there.
That's right.
I don't know where they got this idea, but they came.
And so he figures that is blown.
Yeah.
Who does he know here? It's Rasmus. So he goes and has a drink with him, and I believe at the end of the ep, they
make out on the couch.
They do sleep together.
Gigi, come up.
Which good for them, I guess.
Just gonna sit there and make noises, dog. We go back to our cops, our hashtag good cops, and we quickly turn and find out that the manager, as you predicted, is most likely our bad guy. He calls back, what's her face? I should probably know her name by now. I want to say Victoria, but that's not right. Anyways, we'll remember at some point.
We'll edit that in.
And we'll edit in. Edit. That's funny. She calls him off. She's upset about that, but he's like, we all need to come back here. Don't worry. You've done very good. You've got all sorts of good things coming your way. Way to find the gun. Yada, yada, yada.
And did it seem like he was kind of trying to draw them away from really getting into that physical evidence that was left on the scene? there an element to that?
There was definitely an element to that, and she was also. They get on the same flight as the Jackal.
Yeah, I wondered when we were going to get to this because I did not care for this at all.
What I found very interesting is they made a huge deal about this mix-up and them getting on the same flight to go back to Tallinn.
They're passing each other in the airport, then they're getting on the same plane, and then wouldn't you know it, she's sitting right in front of them.
They were going to get on different planes.
They're both in the aisle.
But then she gets called last minute, go to Tallinn. What I found funny about that was that they set this all up and then did not address the flight at all. They show them sit in the same seats, and then they show them landing, and that's it. You're like, what?
Yeah.
They're going to do this big setup for, like, what could happen. You know, he almost gets caught on the plane is kind of what I thought might be a thing. Not even do I recognize you?
Yeah, there was no tension to the scene at all. It was a big spy spy type of cliche to have them be so close to each other and not recognize each other. And there's this outstanding theme that the two of them were not so different, you and I. They're both supposedly very good at their jobs and absolutely obsessed over their jobs to the detriment of the family life balance that they're trying to juggle there. So obviously there's a giant comparison between the two of them over the course of the show, which they really hammer in home as they're passing each other on the airport and then sitting next to each other on the flight. However, the whole scene, there was nothing in there. There was no tension to it.
Happens.
There was nothing where you thought, oh, is she going to get narrow her eyes and say, that looks like an older version of it, or what? There was no tension to it at all.
Not even a flashback later, like, wait a minute, that old guy looked familiar in the airport. Was he that close?
And to put that cliche in with the ridiculous barn scene in the same ep.
That's true. They
I
stacked
thought this
them.
was a cliched slog of a filler ep. We have 8 episodes. How do we get to 10 episodes? Okay, let's hang him in a barn for a little while.
It did feel a little bottle episode.
Another scene that was devoid of any tension at all. He's so good at his job that he's going to get out of this, and not good enough not to be in the position in the first place again, which is very par for the Jackal's course. But this was not my favorite ep.
I think I agree with you, especially because there wasn't a whole lot of action, and the show's the best when it's all action.
Right. There wasn't that climactic final whatever, like the car chase in Ep 2 or the chase in the woods in the last ep. But then even this wasn't even a let's build out the case, let's get put our detective hats on and really go to work. This was a cliche, a stretching out.
It was definitely we need 10 full eps of this show, which I believe you commented compared to the movie is quite a different feel, because the movie is go go go, the old 70s movie, and this one definitely felt let's take our time.
I can't get over how bad they're making him look at his job, while then in his recovery making him look so good. Why is he just hide behind the hay?
Again, he's
right in front of the hay, just lying down right in front of the door.
He is very good at killing, and he seems very good at combat, and he seems
we think
good
he's
at
good
driving.
At accents.
We think he's good at. We think
he looked very convincing as old man. We think he's good at disguises.
He's good at disguises. He's a great makeup artist.
He can cry on command.
What I have in my notes, when I was excited, was when I was like, ooh, we're going to get an escape from Budapest scene, right? That's going to be the whole ep is going to be how does he escape from Budapest? He does nothing clever to escape from Budapest. He almost gets caught.
He just puts his head down in the car.
He just puts his head down in the car to hide. He has Laszlo drive him home, which I was super bothered by that scene because he breaks down and calls his wife, which I just kind of hate that they keep trying to humanize him. Like, that's my least favorite part, is they try and make him, like, they're trying to make us root for him, not in a, like, he's good at his job and that's why you root for him kind of way, but have a little sympathy for this guy. He's human. He just wants to talk to his wife. So unless that part was complete, unless that was him being a complete psychopath, which I don't actually see any psychopathic tendencies of him. He's just a little cold-blooded.
The humanizing with the wife doesn't necessarily work because I don't know that we ever got a convincing chemistry between husband and wife and child in the first place.
Not a long
right?
one, no.
So it's all, the only thing that we have to draw on is
a small conversation
our own
over whiskey
experiences with. I mean, it's a stand-in. It's a placeholder for, wives. You love your wife, right? You love your kids. You want to provide for them and give back to them. There's nothing special about this particular husband and wife where you're like, I want them to stay together because look how cute they are. They love whatever.
Yeah,
they should be together because they are whatever.
I want more of her brother. Wasn't in this ep almost at all, but I want to know more about his ideas about running a bar in the local neighborhood. I want that buddy relationship. I wrote something about a coffin. Do you remember seeing a coffin at some point? I think it was in his barn or something. All I wrote was, why is there a coffin? Because it didn't make sense. There was a coffin that just kind of showed up at some point. I don't know where that hell that. Oh, I think the coffin. Oh, that's right. They brought the coffin in to load the body of Norman. So the police bring in this wood coffin to take Norman out, which to me is, have they ever seen a crime scene thing before? You carry him out in a bag, you take all your photos, and then you carry out in a bag, and then they go to the place. You don't put him in the box that you bury him. They're not just going to go, well, we're done. Put him. He's got a big yard. We'll just bury him back there for his wishes.
You don't normally make it heavier.
No. I just thought that was super weird. And then I wrote, I swear to God, if they find the notebook, because that notebook was the dumbest thing ever. The notebook that had his drawing of his gun.
Yeah.
And then I think that we're kind of alluded to that, which is just that they kind of get called off when they want to do some more investigation.
And there's probably stuff in there to get fingerprints, and I mean, he had whiskey there, a glass maybe.
Yep.
I usually wash my dishes pretty immediately, but not everybody does that.
I have some comments about a river. Was he trying to escape on a river at some point? This makes no sense. Anyways. And then again, I just yell, why are we humanizing the Jackal? And I wrote this before the end of that scene, but I was like, he's going to let this guy go. Which I was thinking about again today. What would be worse? Having this witness who's probably going to say what you look like at some point, or shooting him wherever he was and maybe having another dead body and maybe some more attention. I just thought it was really weird that he lets him go.
Yeah. I mean, he's bringing his wife in. He's starting to let people go. He's starting to, his rules that he set out for himself are starting to collapse in on this particular assassination attempt. So they're building a story there, but I agree with you. We don't. The thing that was cool about him in the book and in the movie, the 70s movie, was how proficient he was at his job.
He does all the things well.
Through everything was, how meticulous it was. And at a certain point, the guy's trying so hard. You want nice things for him. He's trying so hard.
Working hard.
The little guy.
Putting in the effort. I wrote that them riding home on the same flight was hilarious, but I was more into the scene until I realized how little they were actually going to cover it. They literally just get on the flight. They find out they're on the same seat, or basically, they didn't even have a oh, you're sitting in my seat interaction or something that would have upped the tension,
Yeah. It's just the laziest version of that. I can't believe they're both in an aisle seat too. They're both in the aisle seat right next to it.
And then again, to stressed the bad at his job. They get to the other airport, which they immediately cut to, and they show him getting in a taxi, and he stops and lingers to look at this lady who he knows is the cop. And I'm like, get in the car, you moron. Like, you're going to sit and make eye contact with this lady who might know who you are? Yeah. And then that's when we found out it's Thailand, not Thailand, which solved the mystery for us. And then, which I thought was super weird because that means he told her where he's going to kill this person. So he told the people that hired him, who he's supposed to be like, I'm on my own on this mission, and he told her where he's going to do the murder. Again, I just don't... He, like, keeps breaking his own rules that are supposed to be why he's such a good professional, and it just... I would have just left with a down payment or returned it and been like, I'm out. You guys keep, like, pushing me too far on this thing. But I guess the money's that good. And then my last two comments were about our meet up at the bar. They at first meet up at a too fancy of a bar for our friend, our phone security guard, and he calls an old-fashioned a sophisticated drink, which I think is kind of funny. That's like a college answer to what a sophisticated drink is.
Yeah, I mean, it's, 4 times the amount of the beer that he probably regularly orders.
And then I ended, of course, as the episode ended, with a KKBB.
Yeah, little kissy
kissy boom boom. I think that's all I have to say about it. Was my least favorite episode.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get real worried about my prediction. Obviously, it didn't come true in episode 6, but the thesis behind it was there's going to be this extended third act post-assassination attempt where
trying to find him.
They're going to try to find him. He's going to go after the people who are paying him or whatever. There's going to be some significant post-assassination attempt thingy. And with the way they stretched out 6...
I don't think we'll be getting that until the next season.
It kind of seems like they're going to have the assassination attempt. Now I'm going the opposite way with it. It's going to be episode 10, and 7, 8, and 9 are just going to be more stretched out, whatever cliches. We already did Strung Up in a Barn, so next is going to be...
I believe the assassination's coming up in 2 or 3 days, so we are getting close. But they could stretch it out. We've got the whole story at home, the family over there that they keep trying to go back to, which is not very interesting. Again, I just don't know if I care to humanize this character. I don't think it makes the character more interesting. I think it's a good idea to be like, what motivates our bad guy, right? Or I don't know if you even call him the bad guy, because there's just a lot of bad guys on both sides on this one. I just don't know if it works for this story or what makes this story interesting. All right, on to episode 7.
Thanks, Alexa. Good.